Gio delivered 7 shutout innings, and the offense exploded for a season-high 13 runs. Tonight, they get a star back, and the best starter is on the mound. Bryce Harper and Jordan Zimmermann lead the Nats against the Brewers on MASN.
Washington Nationals baseball. Washington Nationals baseball.
Well, the boys are back home, and the homeboys are looking for Harper back in the lineup tonight. First to 4, the Brewers coming off a bruising weekend series in Pittsburgh. So all the kids are excited because there's a kid back in the lineup and the number 3 spot tonight. Brewers have lost 5 in a row, by the way. The Nats have won 7 of 11. And you know by now, I think, who's coming back? Bryce Harper batting in that 3rd spot. And the Nats were an under 500 team without him.
Yeah, they need the energy of Bryce Harper back in this lineup. And, you know, it's up to him to stay healthy. He looked healthy in his rehab assignment. But if you go back to April 30th in Atlanta, that's when it all started, running up against the wall there. Then May 13th in Los Angeles, the super crash into the right field wall. You saw Yasiel Puig kind of did the same thing in Dodger Stadium the other night. So adding insult to injury, May 26th, the foul ball off Bryce Harper's knee. And then it would be swollen, and he would go on the disabled list and miss all the baseball games.
Well, missed 37 games. The Nats were 15-16 when he missed those last 31. 16-21 overall. And, of course, he's averaging a homer every 12 times up there. It was amazing how long he was out before he fell out of the top echelon in the league in both home runs and RBIs. So, how many runs do you need when Jordan Zimmermann pitches at home? Well, it's usually about 2 or more.
Well, we show the record when they score 3 or more, but with Jordan Zimmermann, one of the best pitchers in the National League, tied with Adam Wainwright in wins at 11. First in home ERA at 1.09 facing this Brewers lineup. And everybody you talk to this year that faces Jordan talks about the late life on his fastball, how it's every bit of 95 when it reaches the plate.
And he gets psyched against the guys from his home state. Ian Desmond, what a month of June. He went 4 for 11 on base 6 times in the weekend series in New York with a couple of homers and 5 RBIs. 28 RBIs in the month of June, a new Nationals record. Brought to you by PNC Bank, for the achiever in you, and by Farmers Insurance. At Farmers, we believe in smarter coverage. Contact your local agent, 888-96-FARMERS. It is a sizzler in the district tonight. Muggy, hot baseball weather, good hitting ball club. But the Brewers have struggled with pitching in town, first to four. Train celebrating its 100th anniversary by offering irresistible financing. Hard to stop a train, really hard. Yeah, it's 79, but it feels close to 90. Quite muggy. Chance of rain, but hopefully getting through this one. You don't want these kind of starters, Zimmerman, Strasburg, throwing the next two nights, to be shut down for any reason. Brewers are fifth in the league in batting average, but they're 11th in runs. Obviously, they're missing Ryan Braun. They're missing Corey Hart. But Gene Segura has been amazing. He's hit safely 22 of his last 24 games. Third in the league at 327. Probably the two best shortstops with Troy Tulowitzki hurt in the league in this ballpark tonight. Jordan Zimmerman loves the Brewers, evidently. 2-0 with a 1.42 ERA against the guys from his home state.
Tied for the league lead in wins with 11. Adam Wainwright also has 11.
Underway at 7:06 with a pitch just high. Norichka Aoki hitting .284 for the Brewers in the leadoff spot with an on-base percentage of .362. .288 last year in his first year after playing 8 years in his native Japan and hitting .329 for the Yakult Swallows. He's going to drag that ball, first base line. Rendon the shovel with the leather. Very well done.
Yeah, not an easy play for LaRoche right there. As he shovels the ball very close. Watch LaRoche with a little bit of juggle, using the top hand to secure it. Nice play by Rendon.
That was also a good play, FP, by Adam to go to the bag, knowing that Rendon was approaching. If he goes to the bag, if he doesn't go to the bag, to the ball, that's a hit.
Well, it's something you discuss before the play even happens. You know a guy might bring a bunt with you. You talk about it. Hey, if he bunts it, I got the bag. You see LaRoche talking to Rendon right now. They're discussing it. Talking between pitches. Good communication.
Gene Segura, just 23 years of age, smashes it to LaRoche, and a couple of quick ground ball outs for Jordan Zimmerman.
He was telling Anthony Rendon, this next ball is going to be hit right to me on one hop. Watch me make this play. Let's set the defense for the Nationals behind Jordan Zimmerman. Harper Spanworth in the outfield. Desmond Zimmerman on the left side of the infield. Rendon LaRoche on the right side. Kurt Suzuki behind the dish.
14-year veteran Mark Carlson has the plate. Brian Knight, 5th year at first. Dan Isanya, 12th year at second. And the crew chief, Jerry Davis, 30th year in the big leagues at third base. Carlos Gomez, the 27-year-old center fielder, having a good year, hitting .315. He's third in the league in extra base hits with 39, and first in triples with 9. Jordan Zimmerman on the attack, and things are happening quickly here in the top of the first. What else is new? Career record 35 and 29. 98th career start. And a good breaking ball fouled.
You would imagine ratings high in the Brewers broadcast tonight as the Auburndale, Wisconsin native is on the mound for the Nats. Everybody asking me from Milwaukee, what does Zimmerman have? And the standard answer is that late life on his fastball. He's developed into a pitcher, throwing any pitch at any count. And I told everybody to watch he and Kurt Suzuki work in tandem tonight. It's one of the things we look forward to every fifth day with Jordan, is watching Suzuki and Zimmerman in sync.
5-hitter for 6 innings at Miller Park last July 28th in a win. And beat them here on September 24th with 1 run in 6 2/3. On his way to a 12-8 record. Off speed for the strikeout. 1-2-3. Who's batting third for the Nats? He's number 34, Harper, coming up. On their team batting average, it's up to 236, highest it's been in a while. And we've been waiting to see this lineup for a while. With Harper behind Worth, Zimmerman, LaRoche, and Desmond 4, 5, 6. Anthony Rendon dropped down to the number 7 spot. So you've got a guy hitting 7th, batting 310, and an exciting hitter out 31 games consecutively back in the lineup tonight. So that's the group that Yovani Gallardo will face. 8 career games, 7 starts against the Nats. He's 3-2 with a 4.89 ERA. Not having a great year, 6-7. The overall earned run average 4.20 for a guy who's won 17 and 16 his last 2 years. So he makes his 18th start of the year, and Denard Span takes one outside. Span coming off a good weekend, and now he's hitting .355 over his last 8 games with 11 hits. Denard had a 3 for 5 yesterday in New York, including 2 doubles and an RBI. But looking for his first career hit against Gallardo, 0 for 14 somehow.
Well, Gallardo's a guy whose velocity has been dropping. Remember, he used to be 93, 94. Now his fastball average is 90. Saw it at 89 last time out. Curveball probably his best pitch. Command not where it's been in the past, and he's a guy that will use that curveball early in the count to steal strike one.
Fastball is upstairs. Denard leaning back, and the count's 2-2. And Gallardo, I mean, it's not like he's early or mid-30s to start tailing off. He's only 27 years of age. Second rounder back in 04.
Well, there's a theory that, you know, he's thrown a lot of cut fastballs, and guys that throw cut fastball lose that kind of whip out in front at the release point coming around the ball. And that takes off velocity over the years. And also, don't forget, he pitches in a hitter's ballpark. Probably a lot of red line and a lot of miles on that car out there when you pitch at Miller Park as much as he does.
A lot of stressful innings. I mean, the ball just jumps in there. So Span having a good at bat. Giving his teammates a good look at the repertoire with Worth next. Another guy who can extend ABs. And then, of course, Bryce Harper, and I'm sure you'll hear a huge ovation for him. 2-2. And Span in the air to center. That's Carlos Gomez actually coming in for the ball, 1 out.
So the defense for the Brewers today behind Yovani Gallardo, Halton, Gomez, Aoki in the outfield, Segura Ramirez on the left side, Weeks, Francisco on the right side, Jonathan Lucroy doing the catching.
Aramis Ramirez, one of the good sluggers. 2-time All-Star, 05 and 08 with the Cubs. This is his second year with Milwaukee. Hit 300 last year, drove in 105 runs for the Brewers. So from Wrigley Field, he went 90 miles north to Miller Park. Took a good bat with him. Jason Worth, 347 over his last 14 games. Salvaged a nice weekend in New York with a home run, a double, 2 walks, and 4 runs scored yesterday. One ball, 1 strike. Target away. And a take by Worth to get the count in his favor. So Jason with those 2 walks yesterday, 36 on the year now. Batting average up to 272. Gallardo brought the ERA down in the month of June, but it's still at 4.20 for the season. Out of play right side, 2-2. Kind of a small crowd gathering on this Monday night as the guys come back home. Getting ready for the holiday week. Nats are averaging 33,703. That's 6th best in the National League. 2-2 pitch. Jason went reaching. Foul tip, 2 outs. Well, maybe he can pretend it's opening day and just homer his first couple of times up.
Well, July 1st in Canada is Canada Day. July 1st in D.C. is Harper Day.
He's 1 for 6 career against Gallardo, who works from the first base side of that pitching rubber, and looked like a good take, and Jerry Davis agrees. Ball 1. Well, it'll be good to see those numbers finally changing. Putting up some big numbers in only 44 games this year, 150 at bats. And a ball hit deep to left center. It is up against the wall and over the wall. And the glove of Sean Halton. 1-0 Nationals. Welcome back, Bryce.
Unbelievable.
Who does this?
This is a script. Are you kidding me? That's got to be a curtain call, right?
Well, Zimmerman's going to step out.
It's got to be.
Ryan looking over to the dugout saying, come on so I can hit. Bryce Harper's 13th of the year.
I'll tell you what, I watched his batting practice today, and it was not good. He was frustrated, threw his bat down a few times after his rounds. Top spin on everything. Just goes to show you what batting practice means. Welcome back, Bryce.
Yeah. Well, Bryce Harper in his first 2 times of the year up against Ricky Nolasco on April 1st. So something about the first of the month, huh? July 1st. Initial at bat, gone.
Oh, there goes the no-hitter, too, by the way.
Ryan Zimmerman hitting .272. 1 ball, 1 strike. Ballpark still trying to settle down.
Broadcasters, too.
Nats hit their 76th homer of the year. Harper's 13th. And Gallardo's now given up 11.
That didn't miss that guy at all, huh? Unbelievable.
Fastball paints. Counts even 2-2. Zimmerman will look back in a brief conversation with Mark Carlson on that call. Gallardo tried to duplicate it. It was up high, 3-2. Ryan Zimmerman hitting .310 over his last 9 games. And he has 2 career hits, including a home run against Giovanni Gallardo. Good take on an off-speed pitch. He's aboard.
Well, Bryce Harper missing 31 games, first day back, 2-seam fastball, kind of off the end. I don't even know if he got this. Barely gets out to right field. Good effort right there by Halton, but Bryce Harper, family in the stands, the I love you sign, and how good is it to have number 34 back in the lineup?
I hope I can tell you in about a month, after we've watched this lineup do what we think it's capable of with all the moving parts.
Pretty sure that shockwave was felt all the way down to Atlanta. Adam
LaRoche, 8 career hits, 2 homers against Gallardo for the Pirates. Played against this pitcher quite a bit in the NL Central. That's inside, 1-1. Talking to some of the Milwaukee guys today, they said those Bucks are for real in Pittsburgh. Best ERA in baseball at 3.11. Best record at 51-30. They've won 9 in a row. The only thing that can stop them is the schedule. They're off. And LaRoche will hit that ball well to right. There to grab it, Narichka Aoki. The Nats on the board. Bryce Harper, dramatic return to the lineup on July 1st. Left center into the bullpen. Number 13 puts the Nats on top. Well, the best pitcher at home in the National League has a lead to work with. Aramis Ramirez steps in.
Because one of the best hitters in the National League is back in the lineup.
Ramirez, pretty good career success against Jordan. Better than most at 6 for 16, but not this time. Ian Desmond, and on 12 pitches, Jordan Zimmerman has his first 4 outs of the game. AT&T fact of the game, 13 straight here, tying the franchise record by right-hander David Palmer of the Expos, late 70s, early 80s. Now, you might notice, for Palmer, that's over a 3-year period. Jordan Zimmerman's streak has been over a lot less time than that, out there every 5th day. And Jonathan Lucroy, the catcher, will be next.
Well, he leads the National League in home earned run average at 1.09.
And the guy with the second best is pitching tomorrow night. Strasburg at 1.34. Lucroy 0 for 2 career with a walk against Zimmerman, takes a strike. And Jordan's on his game early. Lucroy leads the Brewers with 42 RBIs. Big, strong catcher. He was just back from injury when we were in Milwaukee last year. He would go on to hit .320 with 58 RBIs, but only played in 96 games because of a broken right hand that needed surgery. A right hand nerve is what has Ryan Braun out of their lineup right now. Right up the middle. Lucroy with a base hit. First time he's done that against Jordan. He's aboard with 1 out. Second inning presented by Luna. Call for the Luna Double. Get your second room of flooring free at 877-241-LUNA. That'll bring in Ricky Weeks. Used to be a leadoff guy. Hit 25 career leadoff home runs. This year batting .228 with 8 long balls. Rendon out for that one. Span will call him off. Veteran call and the catch. 2 outs. Next up will be Juan Francisco, who started the season with the Braves. Hit .241 in Atlanta for 35 games. And they traded him to Milwaukee for left-handed minor league pitcher Thomas Keeling June 3rd. He's playing first base for them with Corey Hart out for the season. Four homers, 10 RBIs in 21 games with the Brewers, hitting .200. And overall at .225. Not much damage here. 0 for 3 career against Zimmerman, who starts him by stealing a strike, as FP says, with that first pitch breaking ball.
And you see the 94 after it, so I think that's the difference in Jordan maybe from years past, to where it always seemed like that one pitch hurt him, to where his team was even or ahead by 1. He'd leave one out over the plate. But this year with Kurt Suzuki, just the way they've been mixing it up, we talk about it every 5th day, how you never really know what's coming. They never settle into a pattern.
Steve McCatty liking what he sees. 5 quick outs, hoping for another. That pop up out of play, left side. Lucroy, the catcher, at first base with 2 outs. Swing and a miss, 86. So just over 20 pitches and 2 innings in the book for Jordan Zimmerman, enjoying an early lead.
At bat back, and we're going to take you back to New York for Ian Desmond's weekend. And what a weekend it was. And Friday with the home run, and then the double late to score Jason Worth. And then yesterday with the towering home run, and we think that this home run might have been over the bleachers in left field here at Nats Park, maybe into the concession stands and left. And got every bit of that. So a big weekend for Ian Desmond.
Yeah, 4 for 11 in that series. On base 6 times, 2 homers, 5 RBIs. Ten of his last 12 hits for extra bases. Gallardo starts him with a changeup outside. So Ian, 21 doubles, 9th in the league, 38 extra base hits, 4th in the league. And he's in the top 8 in home runs now. One ball, one strike. '91, painting at the knees, outside half, 1-2. Ian's 2 for 10 career against Giovanni Gallardo. Tried to get the other side of the plate and just missed. 2-2.
That's his MO. He'll try to get strike one in the outer half with the fastball, mix in a curveball to steal a strike early, but he likes to finish guys off with a heater on the inner half.
Your mission, our commitment, agility. Most RBIs in June ever. By the way, visit agilitycorp.com. So Moises Alou, 1994 franchise record, 30 RBIs. Do that for 6 in a row. Months, that is. They'll start calling you Hack Wilson. Desmond up the middle. Couple of big hops for Gene Segura. One shortstop to another. Bottom of the second underway with Rendon and Suzuki coming up. How big was it for Anthony Rendon to check in with that 2-run double in the 8th inning last night? He was 0 for 17, got involved in the action. All the starters had hits. And this will be a different thing for him, FP, if he goes down to the number 7 spot. Because to hit him second, Worth or Desmond would have had to bat 7th, and Davies not going to do that with those guys.
Well, I like the depth to the lineup all of a sudden with him hitting 7th.
And he scorches one to Segura.
And now you got somebody protecting Ian Desmond to where, maybe you hadn't had that in a while. Now you got a guy, Anthony Rendon, a 300 hitter hitting behind Ian Desmond. I mean, when you filled out the lineup card today, it's the best lineup the Nats have had all season long, by far.
Yeah.
Because now you got Rendon at second base hitting 300. Kurt Suzuki has been swinging the bat well, stays in the 8th slot. And Wilson Ramos on the horizon. So, I mean, this is the lineup that Davey Johnson's been waiting for. He hasn't had his lineup since April 14th. And this is the closest thing he's had to that lineup. And I think it's better than the lineup he had April 14th. Simply because, however you want to put it, Danny Espinosa wasn't producing. Now you got a second baseman that is. So a very deep lineup all of a sudden for Davey Johnson's squad.
On opening day, Espinosa hit 7th. Ramos hit 8th. Suzuki didn't start that first game of the season with Strasburg pitching. And another sharply hit ball. Suzuki right at Gene Segura. Busy inning for the shortstop, and the 1-2-3 Gallardo was looking for. Nationals after 2 on the Harper homer lead. Top 3, Jordan Zimmerman off to a lead. AFCEA, the Association for Global Security Professionals, sideline report. Good evening, Julie.
Good evening, guys. You know, I sit down here in the dugout in the photo well for every game here at Nats Park, and there's just something different about tonight. Call it the Bryce factor, call it Harper Palooza, whatever you want to call it, the return of the king. But the dude is back, and as you just saw with that home run, there is certainly a buzz about it down here. And Bryce was telling me earlier today before the game, he said the darkest hour, the lowest point of him being out for so long, he said was the beginning, just mentally knowing that he had an entire month to just sit there and think about this injury and having to watch the guys from his home on TV taking the field without him. He said that was the toughest part. He had to actually mentally prepare every single day for not playing and for being able to conserve his energy and knowing that he just really had to focus on getting better. He said that was the most important thing, so he can come back and just not worry about the injury, not worry about the bursitis and the swelling in the knee and everything that goes along with it. But he is so incredibly happy to be back. And I actually had a chance to talk to Brian Daubach, who is the manager at Potomac, who got to see him play for a couple of games. And he said that Bryce just brought an entirely new, enthusiastic energy to his team. The guys played so much better with him in the lineup. He said on average they get about 1,000 fans to watch their games. With Bryce Harper in the lineup, try 8,000. He said it totally pumped up his guys, and he's happy to see him back in the lineup here with the Nats.
Well, on top of all that, so great to have the minor league affiliates so close by, making these rehab assignments really easy from that standpoint. Potomac within a half hour or so, and then the Harrisburg Ball Club was in Bowie, Maryland. Can't get much closer to home than that when you're on the road, so that was awesome. By the way, I did congratulate Bryce today for not having to watch us anymore on television. He got a big smile out of that.
That's what I was going to say. The hardest part for him was listening to us every night.
There's a big breaking ball by Jordan Zimmerman, and Sean Halton, the rookie left fielder, I don't know if he knew the ball was in the dirt or not, didn't bother to leave the batter's box, and Suzuki tagged him.
Yeah, the curveball from Jordan, 78 miles an hour. You see the Exmo with the spin in the break. And you get an idea why that curveball is so good. The spin that's created, the release point, and the arm speed from Jordan Zimmerman.
Hey, now here's a matchup for you. And look at the 21 strikes out of the 26 pitches. Yovani Gallardo is hitting .250 this year with 2 home runs. He's hit 12 career homers and driven in 40. I haven't seen the pitcher stats even close to him over the last couple of years. I think Wainwright's got a whole bunch of home runs.
Well, with that approach, if you throw him anything on the inner half, you deserve to give up a home run. He's bailing out, stepping in the bucket, and swinging as hard as he can.
How about a breaking ball away or a fastball up and away? And that's what he tried to do, the latter. Gallardo, a nice level swing. Norichika Aoki is next. There's that breaking ball away, and that's a fair ball. Zimmerman, long throw. Ryan throwing really well lately.
Yeah, let's go to the backhand side. Almost on the foul line. As he straddles it, really. Right on the money to Adam LaRoche. He knows he's got lots of time with Gallardo running, so there's no rush here. Set yourself, stand up straight, make a good throw across the diamond for the out. And right over the top, too. Anytime you got to go to the backhand side, it's imperative to make that release point a little closer to 12 o'clock on the dial than maybe lower, because then the ball will run.
Yeah.
Whenever you go to a backhand side throwing across the infield, you got to get on top.
Yeah, that was a good 12-12 fastball he threw over there.
They got lost on where I was going on the clock because everything's digital now. It's like, do I go to 10 o'clock or do I go to 2 o'clock when you drop down?
Yeah.
I have no idea.
Look at Aoki bail and wail. Left side. He's not going to run on Bryce Harper. So Bryce gets a touch, gets to unleash that arm. And that's important with a 1-0 lead. That's a 2-out single. Nobody to scoring position on a good swing by Aoki. He was channeling Ichiro Suzuki on this AB.
Well, it's Harper Day. He's already got a home run. Let's watch him throw. It's been a while. Yeah, just ease that one in there, Bryce. Nice job.
Yeah.
Take a little off. Change up.
Give Rendon a little bit of his own medicine.
Yeah. Adam LaRoche loved that throw.
So said to Anthony, how does that feel, big boy? Fastball inside to Segura, who hit the ball sharply to LaRoche first time up. Well, J.J. Hardy off to Baltimore. And the Brewers have a very good, still young shortstop in his place. Segura, only 23 years of age. Kind of interesting. I was going through the media guide and all that, looking this guy up. They list him this year. I'm going to double check this at 5'10". Yeah, I thought that was a misprint. Their media guide said 201. He was listed at 165 last year, and that's what they've changed it back to. I figured that had to be a typo. But he's 0 for 2, and that's a big number. Jordan Zimmermann, 3 quick innings on 2 harmless singles so far. Supplies last. Some restrictions apply. Go to nationals.com/flex. Do it because there are so many home games coming up. 7 this week, on the road next week, and then 10 after the All-Star break. Davey Johnson's ball club sending Zimmermann, then the top of the order up. First 81 games as we continue the report card comparing to last year. 7 fewer wins. ERA a little higher. Batting average lower. Stolen bases way down. Definitely room for improvement, and a lot of the same guys, so you know there's a track record there. Do what you're capable of doing, and everything else takes care of itself. Jordan this year, 3 for 32 with an RBI. Counts even, 1-1. By the way, he's thrown 34 pitches, 28 strikes, first 2 innings. Hits it hard, beyond the reach of Aramis Ramirez. Zimmerman's a great athlete, so he'll just motor into second base. 4th base hit of the year, and his first extra base hit.
Yeah, standing O from the crowd. And a fastball, 91 miles an hour, right down the middle. Foot down early, head to the baseball, barrel on it. We talk about what a good athlete he is. Ball scorched down the left field line. Leadoff double for Jordan Zimmermann. Pretty good effort by Ramirez. Ball just hit too hard.
Yeah.
Now it's up to Denard Span to move him.
They're pinching with the corner infielders. Ramirez at third, Francisco at first.
It's a good time to bunt for a hit, not a sacrifice. Bunt for a base hit.
That ball gets away, so now you don't have to bunt. It was way inside. Span pulled back, and Jonathan Lucroy couldn't handle it.
Well, I think he might have blocked Jonathan Lucroy out right here by the bunt attempt. You see how he's kind of in the way of that curveball from Gallardo, but can't stop the ball, and job done by the wild pitch. And now Span has to change get him over mode to get him in mode.
Well, Denard collected an RBI with a second inning double yesterday. That's a great chance to double the lead here. Arama still plays even with the bag at third, respecting Denard's speed. 79 on the off speed. Counts even 1-1.
When I said this is the Nats' best lineup of the year, I forgot Jordan Zimmerman in there in the 9th spot. So this is officially the best lineup. Denard Span with a big day yesterday, and my favorite part about yesterday for Denard is he went the other way. He's been coming around the baseball, hitting a lot of ground balls to the right side. And yesterday stayed inside the ball, hit that double to left center field. Did pull the ball a couple of times, but had his hands in the right slot the majority of the day, and you saw the results.
Yeah, double left center, single, short left on a bloop. Then he pulled that double late right down the right field line. Target in. Rips it, and look out, Tony Tarasco.
He'll make that play. He's still got skills.
Yeah, if he would have wanted to.
He'd make that play if he put that helmet on his foot.
Denard Span, 29 years of age, actually born here in D.C., grew up in Tampa. And a 1-2 delivery. Way upstairs, but the backstop here is so close. Jordan Zimmerman playing it safely as you have to. So it's just ball 2.
There's kind of a launch right here by Gallardo. You think Bob Uecker just said just a bit outside?
Or a little bit high.
He came into the booth before the game. He was telling us he had his first major league home run against Pittsburgh, and he played for Milwaukee. And it was at home. He said the fans threw it back.
4 times?
He said, yeah, the home fans threw it back. He said, not just once, 4 times. They threw it back in the stands. They kept throwing it back. We were on the ground laughing.
Oh, he's a beauty.
Uecker had us in stitches before the game.
Well, I had a game-used baseball that I asked him to sign for me. He said, this is the closest I've ever come to a game-used baseball.
It was a stand-up routine in our booth before the game, and he's the best, and we love him.
And I have a feeling thousands have heard that before, but it still got us.
Well, it was funny that he said the home fans threw his home run back. That was funny in and of itself. But then when he said 4 times, they kept throwing it back on the field.
That's a little harsh. Brewers fans.
Hilarious.
Actually, those were Braves fans in Milwaukee back then. 2 balls, 2 strikes to Span. Target away. Fastball up.
Good take.
Let's have Gallardo up to 40 pitches with nobody out in the 3rd inning.
Kirk, when you got a guy with a big 12-6 curveball that starts over your head as a hitter, it's always good when you can lay off that top of the zone, maybe just a little bit high fastball. Because guys will get you to chase that heater when they got a good 12-6 hammer. See it out the same window, same height. Tough to lay off.
How about Denard Span? He sees 14 pitches and 2 at-bats against Giovanni Gallardo, and he's aboard. 1st and 3rd, nobody out. Now you've got Worth and Harper coming up.
Jason Worth yesterday off Zach Wheeler. Bell-tie fastball. Wheeler missed his location. John Buck wanted it down, and then he threw it right out over the heart of the plate. And I told him yesterday after the game I was more impressed with his one-handed double in the gap off his front foot than the home run.
Yeah, that was in the 8th, and he walked twice and scored 4 runs yesterday. Struck out swinging against Gallardo first time. He retired Span and Worth before Harper launched one into the left field bullpen. Chance for a big inning here. Target well away. Gallardo misses his spot with an off-speed pitch. Dangerous there for a second. Ball 1 up and in.
Well,
and the possibility of a little running between first and second here, nobody out.
and Carp, if we're looking at the Nats lineup and thinking, wow, it just got so much deeper with Bryce Harper in there, can you imagine what opposing pitchers are thinking right now? When you had a guy like Harper, it makes the lineup that much better. Now you can't just cruise out there free and easy. And you can see Yovani Gallardo trying to hit his spots, trying to be perfect right now. That's because there's a presence in the lineup that he's very aware of. Even 2 hitters away, you saw what he did to Denard Span.
Two and 0. Span running, swinging a foul straight back. Denard had a good jump. He's 8 for 11 this year.
Yeah, this is straight steal. They would go hit and run in this situation. You watch Denard Span. Just takes a peek back. Jason Worth had a high pitch, fastball, fouled it straight back.
Both of these pitchers done a decent job against opposing base runners this year. Gallardo has allowed 9 steals, but with him on the mound, 10 have been caught stealing. And a 2-1. Worth to the gap in left center. That ball, 1 hops at the wall. Span coming around. Throw home. Safe. And now to third base, Jason Worth. It's 3-0.
A good heads-up base running by Worth on the backside. Ball didn't kick very far, but he got a hanging slider right out over the plate. Stayed through it to left center field, and that was enough to score Denard Span all the way from first base. And just trying to elevate the baseball right here to score Zimmerman from third. You see the bat flip. That'll tell you that he knows that's in the gap. So Zimmerman scores easily. Trent Jewett being aggressive with Denard Span. He scores. And the ball just trickling slightly away from Jonathan Lucroy allows Jason Worth to get to third. A big clap of the hands. Playing some good baseball.
Yeah, infield in now. Nobody out. Harper, big time chance for another RBI. That's not just third on the throw. They're going to give Segura a throwing error on the relay for that thing getting away from Suzuki that allowed Worth to go to third. So 2-run double, 2 RBIs. Getting away from Lucroy there. And Harper just outside the line. Tony Tarasco chooses to make that play. And the count's 0-2.
Crowd into it tonight. Listen to them getting on their feet. A 2-strike count. And we saw Lucroy call for that fastball up. And you would think that's to get back to that 12-6 curveball or maybe the slider down and in. Yep, curveball.
A token offer by Bryce, obviously held up. What a good-looking lineup this is suddenly.
As a pitcher, Carp, when you set up the next pitch with such an obvious pitch like a fastball that high, you almost know what's coming.
And he goes soft, 80, and strikes out Harper for the first out. Gallardo, second K of the evening. Ryan Zimmerman next. This Dayton History brought to you by Volkswagen. Sign Then Drive event is going on right now. You can drive away for practically just your signature. Bucky Harris made an error in 1920 that cost the Big Train a perfect game. But Harris drove in the only run against the Red Sox at Fenway in that 1-0 win. Unfortunately, the Big Train, Walter Johnson, came up with a sore arm of his life and was really not of much use to the Senators the rest of the year, finishing 8-10 after pitching a no-hitter and a near perfect game. Zimmerman walked first time.
Well, I think even though Bryce Harper struck out, the fact that he hit a home run his first time up is the reason why Jason Worth got a fat pitch to drill in the gap. Just him being on deck after the first at-bat and a home run, and it's how it's affecting everybody else around him. Now it's up to Ryan Zimmerman to pick up Bryce here in a one-out situation with Worth on third.
Target way out there. High strike. Gallardo trying to come up with everything he can on the Nissan pitch track. A lot of off speed here.
Now watch Ryan's reaction to the pitch. Like, yeah, I guess, yeah. Either way, whatever.
Infield in with one out. Got to protect here. That's well outside. Adam LaRoche next. And on the left side of the infield, the shortstop Segura and Aramis Ramirez are maybe 25 feet from each other, really bunching him to pull. And of course, Ryan makes a good part of his living right up the middle. Right by the shortstop, and it's 4-0. So they bunched him to pull, and he took one right through where the shortstop might usually have been. And Ryan Zimmerman has his 42nd RBI.
Just such a professional at bat right there from Ryan Zimmerman. Didn't care about strike two. Thought it could have went either way. Didn't let it affect his at bat. And how many times have you seen a guy, when they get a borderline pitch called against him, waste the rest of their at bat? Zimmerman just shook his head and said, all right, whatever. Still got a big strike left, and he got a hanging curveball right back up the middle to score Jason Worth. It's a pro at bat.
3 hits, a walk, an error in the inning.
Professional hitter.
And still only one out here as Adam LaRoche steps in. 31 pitches, first 2 innings, now 25, and he only has 1 out. Brewers had a long bullpen day, going 14 innings in Pittsburgh yesterday. They lost their starter, Kyle Loesch, early. Ron Renicky, their manager, had to mix and match the rest of the day. And by the way, evidently Loesch will start Game 3 of the series after the Nats didn't think they'd see him. That's low and inside, ball 1. So Johnny Hellweg, who was to start on Wednesday, is part of their 9-man bullpen.
I'll tell you what, there's been some easy takes for Nationals hitters. When Gallardo's missing, it's not close. We talk about guys that shave corners, 2-3 inches off, how the ball looks like a strike for 3/4 away, and it's a tough take. There hasn't been a whole lot of tough takes. When he's throwing strikes, it's right down the middle. When he's missing by a lot.
Gets a strike on a 2-0. 87. Gallardo against the Nats, 8 games, 7 starts, 3-2, but a 4.89 ERA. I remember a number of games he'd pitch against Milwaukee. The Nats would score against him, but we didn't have the pitching staff 3-4 years ago to hold them down in that park. So another off-speed pitch and another swinging strike, 2-2. Kinetic North America to track it.
It's a little backup curveball at 80 miles an hour. Likes to come hard in with the fastball with 2 strikes. Looks like he's going back out.
Runner moving, pitch outside, and jumping into second base. Headlong is Ryan Zimmerman. That'll be Zimmerman's 4th of the year without being caught. He and LaRoche are the secret weapons on the bases, first to second.
Well, Ryan will tell you he's sneaky fast, and he's probably one of the best base runners fundamentally on this ball club. Got a good jump right there. Saw Gallardo wasn't paying attention to him, and look at the dive into second base, Pete Rose style.
3-2 with 1 out. And LaRoche will go left field line with it. And that ball is fair. It bounces out of play. And it's an RBI double. And the Nats have a 4-run inning. And if Ryan Zimmerman doesn't steal second base, he's at third right now.
And if Adam LaRoche doesn't swing, he's still in the batter's box. 11th double of the season for LaRoche. Yeah. It was a well-placed job down the left field line. It seems like the brakes are starting to turn towards the Curly W. Maybe a month ago, this ball's foul, and Adam LaRoche just stays through it. Going the other way, head down on the baseball. The whole sequence was away to LaRoche, so he made the adjustment in the course of the at-bat. Finds himself on second base with a double and an RBI. 5-0 Nats.
Adam LaRoche now batting over .320 in his last 53 games. Here's Ian Desmond, who bounced out to short. He goes up hacking. This one heading for the scoreboard. It'll plug the gap. Here comes LaRoche. 6-0 Washington.
And it's the offense that Nats fans have been waiting all year to see, and they love it.
Ian Desmond, 22nd double, 39th extra base hit, RBI number 49.
Just look at them going with the pitch, staying on it, going the other way. Wondering if he got enough of it to ride it out of the park. It just bounced at the backside of the warning track. Good read by LaRoche. 6-0 Nats. Offense is cool.
Look at those fans waiting and waiting. 8th man to bat in the inning, Anthony Rendon. He scorched it first time. Line drive to Segura at short. And right now, at this stage of the ball game, after what I described the Brewers went through yesterday, this is Giovanni Gallardo's game. There is nobody even getting ready to throw. About the worst thing that could happen to the Brewers has in the first 3 innings of a new series on the road. Rendon to right center. That'll back up Gomez. Desmond tagging. He'll stop. Carlos Gomez has a gun.
Yeah, one of the better arms in center field in the league.
2 outs. Suzuki will be the 9th Nat to bat in the inning. Kurt Suzuki bounced out to short first time up.
Last 2 days, the line has been seriously moving.
How about 19 runs in the last 18 innings? Actually, not 18 innings, but just 11 innings, starting with the second yesterday. That's when 1-2-3 in the first inning yesterday. That's about the last time they've been quiet.
Well, now if you're due at 5th or 6th in the inning, you're actually grabbing your helmet and putting your batting gloves on in the dugout.
Kurt Suzuki checked in with a 2-for-5 3 RBI day yesterday.
Yeah, got a curving ball down and in. Stayed inside the baseball. Didn't come around it, or that would have hooked foul. Stayed through it. A lot of backspin. The third Tater of the year for Kurt Suzuki,
who in that series went 5 for 12 with a homer, 5 RBIs, and all the hits came Saturday and Sunday. Left side to Aramis Ramirez. 9 Nats bat. Folks at home, can you feel it? They say it's contagious. Maybe he'll enjoy some ice cream tomorrow night. We hope you do. $1 ice cream novelties available at select concession stands until the start of the 6th inning. Game 2 tomorrow night, 7:05. That's while supplies last, and some restrictions apply. Tickets for the Nats and the Brewers start at just $10. Go to nationals.com/tickets. And you get to see Steven Strasburg.
$1 ice cream tomorrow. 1 run away from 50% off pizza. I'm gonna have to go for a run in the morning.
Top of the 4th inning. Strasburg says, boys, give me some of this tomorrow night. And we would tell Steven, lead off the inning with a double and you'll get some. A whole lot. Carlos Gomez struck out swinging first time.
I'll tell him nothing. You tell him.
I'll tell him.
You are so tough on the 7th floor.
No,
with a tie on and makeup while he's in the dugout.
No, we're lower this year. It's now called floor 5.
Call it whatever you want, but he thought that was funny.
He's having a good time. This will move Denard Spanback, but he's waiting, short of the track. And the outs keep on coming from Jordan Zimmerman. The Nats scored 7 or more yesterday, which means today 50% off regular menu online orders, and it might happen tomorrow. Enter promo code NATS50 at papajohns.com when ordering. Valid at participating D.C., Maryland, and Northern Virginia Papa John's. Some of that better ingredients, better pizza. Here's Aramis Ramirez, bounced out to Ian Desmond first time. He'll scorch one to right center. Span over to cut it off. So they've been able to muster 3 hits, all singles so far. And the guy coming in, Jonathan Lucroy, got the first one back in the 2nd. 1-on-1 out here in the 4th. Jordan, by the way, first 3 innings, only 34 pitches to get those 9 outs. Giovanni Gallardo, by the way, 69 pitches to get through his first 3 frames. Lucroy has it into more double plays than any Brewer. 10. Nats have turned 70 this year. And a bounce it to Desmond. They'll have to hurry. Rendon turns it. Safe at first, says Brian Knight. That looked like a 6-4-3.
Well, and everybody's running off the infield. You wonder if he got it right. Pretty good turn by Rendon. Ian Desmond on the run. This is not a tough feed to receive as a second baseman. You got to find the release point of the shortstop, who's pretty close to you. Then come across the bag. It's a little bit low, comes across, lets it rip. And we'll check out the play at first base, but good feed by Desmond. Great turn by Rendon. See him clearing himself. And I can't tell.
Up and away to Ricky Weeks.
Let's see what we got on this one. Ramirez didn't feel like sliding. He's got a sprained knee that he's been dealing with all year. Didn't start yesterday at Pittsburgh because of that knee, so yeah, we didn't think he would slide, but a nice turn by Rendon nonetheless.
That's a stand-em-up fastball up and into Ricky Weeks, 2-1. Thirty-year-old Brewer outfielder, second baseman, pardon me. Fly to the outfield, center field, first time up. Ryan Zimmerman, simple feed to Rendon, and Jordan Zimmerman continues to impress. 3 hits, no runs, through 4 with a big lead.
Will recommend more. Visit Cox.com to learn about Cox Advanced TV Plus. 6-0 home team. Jordan Zimmerman's doing what he does. And Bryce Harper, first day back. You remember he homered his first at-bat of the season here at Nats Park. Kind of similar here today. Storybook stuff. Crowd went nuts. Bryce Harper, first time up. Home run. And then everybody else swinging it too. So the Bats woke up in New York. They packed him on the plane and they made it back to D.C. 6-0 Nats.
And Jordan Zimmerman's 2 for 2. First pitch hacking, bottom of the 4th. Well, if any Brewer fans are tuned in, don't blame us. Blame the Cubs. They signed Alfonso Soriano, and the draft pick, the Nats picked Jordan Zimmermann with was part of the compensation for the signing of Soriano in Chicago.
Putting on a show for the home folks, Jordan Zimmermann. A couple of knocks, doing his thing on the mound. Probably the whole town of Auburndale, Wisconsin, at his folks' home right now. All 12 of them checking out the game.
Some of them not real happy.
I'm sure
some Brewer fans.
No,
they're acting happy.
No, they're all Nats fans tonight. Are you kidding me? You got a big leaguer from your hometown. You're rooting for the Nats. It's a layup.
Denard Spano for 1 with a walk. Gio fought his way through 7 great innings yesterday.
A nice job of throwing strikes. 71% strikes for Gonzalez yesterday. That's his highest total of the year. Got a lead, filled up the strike zone.
Denard Span cracks one toward the scoreboard. It'll bang right off the American League scores, and he checks in with an extra base hit. Jordan Zimmermann to third base.
A lot of extra base hits yesterday. That's the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th extra base hit here today for the Nats. 8 knocks, 5 extra base hits, 4 doubles and a home run. And Denard Span joining the hit parade with his first knock of the day. 1 for 2 with a walk and a double.
So that's 15 extra base hits now in the last 2 games. Nats had 10 yesterday. Jason Worth will be next, 1 for 2. And now they've got to get something going in the Milwaukee bullpen. Burke Badenhop, and he's done some starting in his career. Nats first saw him with the Marlins. Blowing inside to Worth. Struck out in the first. 2-run double. To the gap, the end of that bullpen out there in the third.
Jason Worth's such a good hitter when he stays tall on that backside. Kind of stays over the baseball. Where he gets in trouble is when he collapses on the backside, spins out of there, front side flies open. But he and Rick Eckstein been working on staying tall on that backside, getting on top of that baseball, creating backspin. You just see how he's standing in his stance. And the results the last couple of days. Front side closed. Using more of the field than he has been. It's been a lot of base hits between short and third, and last couple of days been shopping at the gap in left center. Make a play. Nice.
Eight hits already. 6-0. Nobody out here in the fourth. Worth will crack one that'll just hook foul. Just great swings up and down the lineup. Well, maybe that man will have another great night of sleep ahead. Rick Eckstein with a new baby and an offense that is, you know, if the baby's making noise and the offense isn't, that's good for the other team. The offense is making noise and the baby's quiet. That's good for the hitting coach.
Trying to see where the fracture was on that Jason Worth bat. He went back to the rack, got a new one.
2-2. That one bounces way out in front. And Jason Worth has filled the count with a dangerous on-deck hitter waiting.
Nice stop by Jonathan Lucroy right there, keeping Jordan Zimmerman at third.
Bryce got this thing going with 2 outs in the first inning, the homer. Kind of like Adam LaRoche did yesterday after a quiet first inning. Came up, led off the second with a home run. Everybody took a deep breath and dominated the rest of the day. Worth, left field, Zimmerman home. Here comes Span. It is 8-0. And a 4 RBI night in 4 innings for Jason Worth.
Nice heating up. We talked about it yesterday. And look how he's staying over the baseball, not collapsing on the backside. Tall on his back leg. Drives it to left. Great read by Denard Span. Good shot, guys. If Span, knowing that that ball was going to drop. Good base runners check the outfield before every pitch. They know where they're playing, and they know if a ball is going to drop right as it's hit.
Now Ron Renneke has to take the ball from one of his best pitchers, Giovanni Gallardo. He's done after 3+. This call to the bullpen packaged by the UPS Store. We love logistics.
Has been as advertised. If you go back to opening day, you remember Bryce's first at-bat of the 2013 campaign. Full house, Nats Park. Gone. His first home run of the year, first at-bat. Then today, first at-bat back. It's his 13th home run of the year into the Brewers bullpen. So Bryce Harper missing a lot of time. Homer's his first time up here off the DL.
Bert Badenhop will take over now for the Brewers. Former starter. Nats first saw him in 08 when he went 2-3 for then Florida. Tampa Bay 3-2 in 66 games in relief last year. And here he is as a Brewer. And Harper goes up and hits one off the end of the bat. That's Sean Halton, the left fielder, for the first out, and Jason Worth back to first.
All right, Badenhop, 3-pitch guy, fastball, slider change. His fastball average is upper 80s, slider lower 80s, change up 83.
That was Bryce Harper's first appearance against him, and Ryan Zimmerman has seen him 8 times. 2 hits. Perfect night for Ryan so far. Walk, RBI hit, a steal, a run scored. A lot like yesterday, that's economical. 13 runs, 13 hits in New York, 8 runs, 9 hits here. '91 outside, 2-1. Baden Hupp, 30 years of age, 6'5", 220.
He's got the "this is more like it" look on tonight, don't you think?
Not having to grind out every 90 feet as the skipper, huh? I mean, running an offense when it's not going well can feel like a tractor pull for 3 hours every night. Mercedes-Benz on the pitch track. Right down the middle. Zimmerman knew it. 2 outs. That'll bring in Adam LaRoche. Hey, this might make you feel old. Guess who Burt Badenhop was traded to Milwaukee for?
I don't know, but I really like to feel old, so tell me.
Raul Mondesi Jr. Where did that come from?
I don't know.
You seem a little offended. I think you're going to have to come to grips with middle age here sometime soon.
Well, I don't need somebody reminding me of it every day.
The mirror reminds me.
Eric Young Jr. yesterday, now Raul Mondesi Jr. today.
We'll see who the Padres bring to town. Well, they've got Will Venable. His dad Max played. But Raul Mondesi didn't play that long ago. Come on.
Played against him in the minor leagues all the way up.
Adam LaRoche lined hard to right. And then he got the double down the left field line that took one bounce and went on a play. Drove in a run back in the third. That's a broken bat off Badenhop, who comes in and gets 3 quick outs after the Nats had 2 runs on 3 hits. After 4, is that enough offense for you? 8-0. We found it quite refreshing tonight. No mask outs tackling people. Nobody got hurt. All 5 racing all the way.
Hey, no Mr. Met, so that makes it good all by itself.
Tall Tom Jefferson with the W tonight.
All right.
And they're dancing in the streets at Monticello. We're going to the top of the 5th inning. Jordan Zimmerman, 8-run lead. He'll face the bottom 3 in the Milwaukee order. Juan Francisco, Sean Halton. And I would think Burt Badenhop would be around for an at-bat or 2 here to get Milwaukee through 3 or 4 more innings. Francisco struck out first time. He will line one to left. And that's on a hop to Bryce Harper. So the Brewers have their 4th base hit, all singles. That'll bring in the left fielder, Halton, who struck out first time. 26-year-old rookie Francisco aboard. Halton from San Francisco, a 13th rounder in 09, but got called up last week, and in his first big league at bat had a pinch hit single against the Cubs' Matt Garza. That ball scorched up the middle. 2 hits in a row for Milwaukee.
Nice approach right there by Halton. Hands inside the baseball, using the middle of the diamond. Back-to-back knocks for the Brewers.
That'll bring in Burt Badenhop, an 097 career hitter. Have a look at our Firestone Complete Auto Care Extra Mile Index. And most games this season, ball clubs allowing 2 or fewer runs. The Nats are right behind 2 ball clubs in first and second place in the Central.
Well, that just goes to show you with a little offense, the Nats are 36-10 when they score 3 runs or more. So you just need any kind of offense with that stat right there, and you're going to win your share of ball games.
Braves off. Nats could be 6 back if they take care of business today, trying to win their 8th in the last 12. Badenhop trying to move a couple of runners ahead, and that's strike 2. He pulled the bat back on a fastball right in there, up a little. Burt Badenhop as a big league hitter, 3 for 31, 5 sacrifices. Top of the order, Norichika Aoki is next. That's right down the middle. Strikeout number 4, Jordan Zimmerman. 1 out here in the 5th, top of the order. Nissan will track it.
Right down the middle. Badenhop taking 2 strikes, not even offering. No idea why he didn't try to bunt that ball.
Aoki base hit left field last time. You can see some of Ichiro's characteristics in his approach. Aoki, 31 years of age, 329 hitter with 1,284 hits in 8 years with the Tokyo Yakult Swallows.
We talk about choking up. That's taking it to a whole new level. I don't know that I've ever seen anybody choke up that much. That's a good inch and a half.
Maybe Matty Alou many years ago, but a bat that was a lot bigger than that.
No, that's a good call. Very similar type hitters, too. Matty get up there with a huge bat and slap the ball to left.
That ball is slapped to right. Francisco coming around. He'll be waved in. Throw into second base. Milwaukee on the board. This is a good hitting Brewers ball club, as I mentioned earlier. 5th in the league in batting average, but lately they've had a hard time putting hits together to score runs. And for Aoki, that's his 16th RBI.
Yeah, on the fastball right here. Tried to get it in, but it just ran back and got too much plate. Aoki all over it. And if Badenhop gets that bunt down, it's 2 runs for the Brewers, but they'll settle for 1. A cheesehead. A patriotic cheesehead. See that? He's got the flag on top of the block. I like it.
Everybody's happy about that except the guy sitting behind him.
And it's an autographed cheesehead. Nice. With lots of sweat on it.
That's to the shortstop hole. Desmond. Rendon can't turn it, and that's another run for Milwaukee. Sean Halton comes in to score. So the Brewers put a couple of runs on the board after the failed sacrifice bunt. That's Gene Segura's 33rd RBI on the fielder's choice. Talked about this so many times. Whether the bases are empty or not, when Jordan Zimmerman's pitching, things happen quickly. That'll bring in Carlos Gomez, who has struck out and flied out. That is tardy for 93 upstairs. 1-1.
Took a shot right here. Heading the count 1-0. Knows he's going to get a fastball. Tried to go deep, and the fastball to the outer half to a pull swing. Gets a strike.
I don't think Jordan Zimmerman's enjoyed an 8-0 lead this year. He's had a few problems in a couple of ball games where he's had a 6-0 lead and 5-0. But he's on the attack here, and the Brewers are going to have to earn their way on here in the middle of the game. Runner going, swing and a miss on a big breaking ball. So they pick up 2 runs on 3 hits. Halfway through the game, the Nats trying to get this homestand off to a good start. So far, so good. Washington, 4th of July, 11:05 against the Brewers. Pre-game American flag displays, Nats patriotic uniforms, special music, the Patriotic Series, Independence Day presented by SAIC. SAIC securing the future for generations to come. Go to nationals.com/patriotic. Come and join us for a special day, an inspirational day at the ballpark on Thursday.
I think it's a great tradition that the Nats always have a home game on the 4th of July.
You can count on it. Ian Desmond, 1 for 2 with an RBI double tonight. He's 2 for 8 career against Bert Badenhop. We got those 3 outs last inning on 9 pitches to settle things down a bit for the Brewers. Desmond, Rendon, and Suzuki, 6, 7, 8 here in the 5th. 1 ball, 1 strike. Delayed call on a borderline pitch. 1-2. Mark Carlson thought about it a moment. And Desmond with a half swing. Foul tip. 4 straight for Badenhop. For the achiever in you, PNC Bank with our minor league report. Left fielder Chris Rawl, out of the College of William and Mary, right across the river in Virginia. Came from Arizona for cash back in April of 2011. He's in his 9th year at the age of 29, and good for him, putting up some big numbers at AAA Syracuse. International League Player of the Week.
Love those guys that stick with it like that. You root for them. 9 years as a professional.
Yakima, Lancaster, Mobile for parts of 4 years, Reno, and then for the Nats, Harrisburg, the last 2 full seasons.
Those are always great stories if and when those guys get called up.
I was just thinking the same thing. Wouldn't it be great to see somebody like that in September?
Yep, absolutely.
1-1 to Rendon. Hits it hard, and it gets by Juan Francisco. Anthony hits a hard line drive for the second time tonight. This one got through.
A pretty approach right there, just staying inside the ball first time up, as you said, Carp, lined out to shortstop. That time, letting the ball get deep, traveling on the outer half of the plate, drops the barrel on it, lines it down the right field line, past Juan Francisco.
What a good-looking swing.
Yeah.
Well, Kurt Suzuki is now the guy who needs to join the parade. Everybody in the lineup has hit safely, except for the number 8 man. He did his part yesterday, but he wants to get in on this.
Yeah, and just like yesterday, the mullet arriving late to the party once again. But like I said, it's better to have a mullet arrive late than no mullet at all. Rendon checks in with his first knock.
I don't know. Some party hosts might have issues with that.
No, you don't want the guy with the mullet to be the first guy at the party. Then he scares everybody away. You want him to come in late after everybody's having a good time. It's perfect. Nailed it. Because then, if the first guy has a mullet, you never know how many are going to show up, and that could ruin the party totally.
Yeah, mulletosis could set in, and then you really have a long night.
Oh, goodness.
You know, I have seen a couple of people comment publicly about your mullet statement in case this team would win the division.
I'm all in. First place, shave the head, put the mullet. I just got to get hair extensions in the back, I think. Because it ain't happening unless I just douse it in Rogaine from now till they get to first place.
Jordan Zimmermann, 2 for 2. Double, single, 2 runs scored. He has ignited 7 runs worth of innings tonight.
He's been Larry leadoff.
Yeah. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
Well, I, for one, well, I'm sure he's going to get up there and swing it, but it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world if he didn't get a hit this time.
He's tied Gio and Heron for the staff lead in hits now. They all have 5. And Suzuki to right center. Richka Aoki there for the second out. So the Zimmermans have combined to be on base 4 times tonight, scoring 3 runs. Jordan doing some damage. Nats Live free postgame concert series. This is Saturday now. Padres will be in for the weekend. Thompson Square will be with us after that 4:05 game. Tickets start at $10. Go to nationals.com/Nats Live. Some restrictions apply. You must have a ticket for July 6th to stay for the music. No balls and 2 strikes. Badenhop's had a pretty good breaking ball away from some of the right-handers. Got Desmond on one. And a breaking ball that he hits to the left side. Aramis Ramirez pulls Francisco off the bag, and Zimmermann safe.
I don't think he thought that Jordan Zimmermann was going to bust it down the line like he did.
Agreed.
And he might have been safe. He looked up and saw Zimmermann close to the bag. He rushed his throw, and that pulled Francisco off the base. This goes to show you what a little bit of hustle will do from your starting pitcher. He looked up and saw Zimmermann was almost there, rushed the throw, and launched it. And it was going to be bang-bang as it is. You can give that a hit. Watch the hustle by Jordan Zimmermann. Looking at the play, busting it down the line. And he would have beat it.
They give him a hit. He's 3 for 3. Yeah, Ramos Ramirez got rid of the ball in a hurry, but he took forever to get to the ball.
That guy had the call right.
Career-high 3 hits, and I thought when Ben Tritipo didn't make the error call right away that he was downstairs watching it with us, and we agree. So 2 on 2 out. Denard Span, walk, double, 2 runs scored tonight. Outside, counts even, 1-1. You could watch Jordan run and know why he was such a good football player. He was a receiver in high school. He was a point guard in basketball. One of those guys who could do it all. 2-1. I asked him about that 300-yard game he had in high school once as a wide receiver. He said he just kept running slants and they kept losing him in the middle all night, and he'd take it to the house. This ball slicing over toward the barrier. Ramirez gets there, and he will grab it. Bottom of the 5th is over. Nice play by Aramis Ramirez. Nats have stranded 5, scored 8. Welcome back, Bryce, and then he gave us a big-time welcome on his first swing of the night, the home run out to left center. And then it's amazing the way this guy energizes the team and how the offense then responds.
Well, the offense, had a big day yesterday in New York. It just kind of kept the line moving here today. Took advantage of some high strikes from Giovanni Gallardo. And putting up an 8 spot after what they did yesterday.
Jordan Zimmermann continues the attack here in the 6th inning. It's Aramis Ramirez, who singled up the middle last time up. Brewers got 3 hits last inning. Picked up a couple of runs. They've stranded 4 tonight. And the catcher, Jonathan Lucroy, next here in the 6th. Ricky Weeks to follow. And on a pitch up, Aramis Ramirez well late for it. Brewers box. Lucroy first hit in the 2nd. Aoki in the 3rd. Ramirez in the 4th. And then hits by Francisco Halton and Aoki with the RBI. And a fielder's choice grounder by Gene Segura got them their 2 runs last inning. 3-2 pitch, and Ramirez hammers one high in the air to left. Bryce Harper on to the track. By the way, only 59 pitches through 5 innings for Jordan tonight. He's completed 4 games this year, one of them a shutout. Came in 5th in the league in innings with 115, so he's over 120 now. And that's a slider, and again, Mark Carlson took a look and then called it a strike. Then a little softer on the breaking ball. A little big hook there. 0-2. Little on the speed, big on the break. Jordan looking for his 36th career win. Trying to beat the Brewers for the 3rd time in his career without a loss. And then it appeared to be a slide piece away. Desmond, low throw. LaRoche digs it. 2 down. All right, 3 more games in this series. Steven Strasburg and Willie Peralta tomorrow night. Ross Detwiler, Kyle Loesch at 6 o'clock Wednesday. Taylor Jordan against TBD for the Brewers in the 11 a.m. 4th of July game. Then the Padres are in for 3 this weekend, and make a special note of the Saturday starting time at 4 o'clock prior to the concert.
Yeah, all the starting times, 6 o'clock on Wednesday, 11 on Thursday, and 4 on Saturday. And I said that so I would know what time the games are.
Your presence would be appreciated.
Yeah, don't throw me for a loop like that with weird start times. I get into a routine and that's it.
Good players. Weeks is flied to center, grounded to third. Well, he's got some snap on that breaking ball right now. 77 on the curve. And look at this economy of work.
Well, you've seen the Brewers game plan. It's what we talk about with Jordan every 5th day. There's nothing to wait around for, right? He's going to fill up the strike zone, get that first hittable fastball, and get on it.
9 ground ball outs of the 17 he's registered. 5 strikeouts. He has, at this stage of his career, 27 years of age, had a birthday at the end of May, mastered the art of not just pitching to contact, but attacking and getting outs a lot quicker than he used to. That ball is hammered by Ricky Weeks. Where's this one coming down? More than halfway up the Reds, or the blue seats out there, almost toward the concourse. And Ricky Weeks with his 9th of the year. It's now 8-3.
And he caught a slider out in front. I see the pitch right here from Jordan. Everything down the zone, but a little backup slider, 84 miles an hour. Didn't do a whole lot, and Weeks was all over it.
Kinetic North America tracked it. Jordan Zimmerman wasn't even interested in watching it. He knew. It's the 9th homer he's given up this year, but he hardly ever gives up a home run with anybody on base. Brewers have hit 77 home runs. The Nats have hit 76. Juan Francisco base hit last time. Pretty rare when a visiting team comes into this ballpark and scores 3 runs against Jordan Zimmermann.
When you talk about the lead he had in Baltimore that night on May 29th, gave up the 7 earned runs in just 6 innings, and then had the lead in Cleveland on the 15th, and there was 2 things in common with both of those nights. They were hot, humid nights. Same applies here tonight. Got a nice cushion, doing a good job throwing strikes, but those are 2 times this year where Jordan had big leads, including tonight.
That ball hammered to right. Suddenly, this game is far from over. It's the 6th inning, and Milwaukee has scored 4 straight runs. And that's number 10 for Francisco, his 5th as a Brewer.
Yeah, back-to-back homers for the Brewers here in the 6th. First it was Ricky Weeks, now Juan Francisco. And nothing cheap about either one of these. Chuck that thing back, lefty. Yeah. I think that was a changeup. Work on the follow through a little bit.
Sean Halton is next. He singled last time. Suddenly, Ron Renicky is feeling like he's back in this game because Bert Badenhop is not on deck. It's a position player. Their only left-handed bat. There's former Nat Tom Gorzolani. He's been on the disabled list a little while with some elbow irritation, but he's back. And there's a good swing by Sean Halton, and suddenly the Brewers are teeing off here.
Well, I thought I was joking about Jordan Zimmermann not getting a hit last time up, and you wonder if hustling down to first. I mean, he's in tremendous shape. You don't really want to point to that, but hustle down the line. You look at him right now. Hot night. Looks like he's feeling a little bit here in the 6th. Pitch count at 81. And it looks like it's phone call time. Steve McCaddy to Jim Litt on line 1.
Wow. Jordan Schaefer. Pardon me, Logan Schaefer.
One of the various Schaefers.
Is 4 for his last 47. But, you know, you would have thought Bert Badenhop would have a couple of at-bats, pitch 3 or 4 innings, and now suddenly their bats have come alive, and they feel like they're right back in this thing, and Fernando Abad is working. Logan Schaefer, 27-year-old outfielder from San Jose. Played at Cal Poly, San Luis Obispo. Has a brother Justin in the Mets system. He's been struggling big time with the bat. That's a huge run now, sitting out at second base for the Brewers here in the 6th inning as they try to get this thing back to a 3-run game. Schaefer is their best pinch hitter. He's 7 for 28 this year. So suddenly Nationals Park sees a big-time momentum and atmosphere change. 4 runs on 6 hits in the last 2 innings. And that rocket goes foul.
Well, if you told me it would be 4-0 in the top of the 6th, I'd have taken it. So I just feel like with the bullpen, the way they've been pitching, get this out right here, there's nothing to worry about.
0-2 the count. Greg Stammen now joins Fernando Abad. .26 pitch inning to get to 85 here in the 6th.
They're trying to make a pitch right there. Slider at the back knee. That's been Jordan's out pitch the majority of this season. But in a 2-2 count right here, I think he'll go challenge fastball on the inner half and see where he goes. Tempo is slowed down big time.
He went changeup on 2-2 and missed outside.
We'll talk it over. Big 3-2 pitch coming. What do you want to go with? What do you feel comfortable with? And if he gets an out, it might be the last pitch of the night for Jordan Zimmermann. And if he doesn't get an out, it might be the last pitch of the night.
Yeah, thinking that too with Aoki coming in. Lefty-lefty matchup if it would be Abad. And a comebacker. Jordan Zimmermann to LaRoche. Brewers get 2 more runs. It'll be Worth, Harper, and Zimmermann coming up. 4-run game.
Six innings pitch, 5 Ks. Big night at the plate, 3 knocks. Bryce Harper, first at bat back. His 13th home run, and Jason Worth 4 RBIs tonight with a couple of hits. And let's go back to the 3rd inning. It was a key at bat in the inning. Jason Worth doubles in the gap. That would score Jordan Zimmermann and Denard Span. A couple RBIs right there. Advanced to third on the throw, and then a base hit to left field. Scores a couple more. So Jason Worth with 4 RBIs tonight, having a huge night and counting.
Yeah, in fact, for Jason Worth, a little bit of personal history tonight. Season high, 4 RBIs. He's had 4 RBIs at least 13 times in his career. So a big evening with a pair of hits. And this is Tom Gorzolani, who did a good job for the Nats last year. 30 years of age, 45 games, 1 start for the Nationals, and a 2.88 ERA last season. And the Brewers signed him as a free agent in December.
They're doing a nice job for these guys out of the bullpen. We talk about what he's meant to this club. He's unscored upon in 24 of his 30 relief appearances this year. The unsung hero out of the Nats bullpen in 2012.
Had a little left shoulder tendonitis on the DL middle of May, but he's back and pitching well. Michael Gonzalez is also in this bullpen. Worth against Gorzolani career 2 for 8, and that's outside. 1-1.
That's the slider from Gorzolani. It'll be in the low 80s. Fastball in the low 90s. You got a change up in the mid 80s. So 3-pitch guy. Mixing an occasional cutter, not too often. Threw a lot more last year at 6%. This year barely throwing it. Playing 3 hours from home in Milwaukee. That must be nice.
And he will get Worth looking on what appeared to be a fastball down. Mercedes-Benz will tell you right where.
A fastball in the inner half, 89 miles an hour. Just planted it right to a corner.
Bryce Harper 1 for 3 with that home run back in the first. And facing an ex-teammate for the first time here.
Has he faced an ex-teammate before? I just throwing it out there. I have no idea. Rookie season last year, so it would have to be somebody early in this season before he went on the DL. Can't think of one off the top of my head. Sean Burnett would be the other guy, but he's on the disabled list and in Los Angeles with the Angels.
Yeah, he might have a chance to face a couple of them in this series.
Edwin? I think Edwin was the first former teammate he faced. Edwin Jackson with the Cubs.
Up and in, 3-1. Pitch count is 88, 67 strikes for Jordan Zimmermann. And as Craig Stammen continues to throw, it looks like he's coming in. We'll see how Davey plays it. Harper on for the second time tonight. One of the things we loved about Bryce in those first 40 games or so, his batting eye, 26th walk.
Well, do you have your PNC Visa check card? Log on to www.pnc.com/Nationals card to learn how you can win the ultimate fan experience, including lunch at the ballpark with Ryan Zimmerman and myself. So go get your PNC Bank Visa check card today.
Zimmermann, a walk, an RBI hit, a steal, and a run. And that ball slicing to the seats down the right side. Nats box score. Third and fourth innings. 7 runs on 8 hits during those frames. Jason Worth in the middle of it with his 13th 4 RBI game. And Jordan Zimmermann 3 for 3. Double, single, infield hit.
Yeah, I like all those words on the right. That looks good.
Ryan Zimmerman against Tom Gorzolani, career 3 for 4 with a double and a walk. And a run batted in. Adam LaRoche, 1 for 3. He's hit the ball hard twice. Wow. Tough take, good take. 1 and 2.
Yeah, just missed the outside corner. Lucroy tried to frame it. Lucroy tried to frame it right there to get the call. And Bryce Harper talking to Tony Tarasco. I don't know how aggressive Davey's going to be with Bryce on the bases. It'll be interesting to see. Francisco kind of playing off the base right there. But not a big lead by Harper.
Zimmerman pulls it hard. Ramirez weaks, and around the horn go Milwaukee with a 5-4-3. Top of the order coming up in the 7th.
Seventh, 8-4 Nationals. And how about the night of Jordan Zimmermann? It set a pretty high standard at the plate with 3 knocks. I was telling the Brewers people before the game what a great athlete he was, and he showed you why. And the last one, an infield single, hustling down the line. Yeah, you got it right. Safe. And the mound just pounding the strike zone, doing his thing. And gave up a few runs here tonight. But he set his standards so high, we are used to almost perfection from Zimmerman every 5th day.
5 Ks for Jordan tonight, $37 for each to the Children's Inn at the National Institutes of Health. That's thanks to our D.C. area Toyota dealers and Toyota Ks for Kids. Greg Stammen, 25th ball game. 3.16 ERA, 41 strikeouts in 43 innings. Top of the order. And a good high riding fastball for strike 1 to Norichika Aoki.
And Davey Johnson slowly leaning toward Craig Stammen with that 3-4 run lead thing in the 7th inning. Quietly becoming the 7th inning guy for the Nats with a lead.
Aoki 0 for 2 career against him. Zimmerman to his left. You got to play that guy shallow. And he throws it on to LaRoche in a hurry.
Yeah, taking the bunt away. Aoki having a good night with a couple of hits. Good bid for his 3rd, but Ryan Zimmerman playing shallow, gets the ball early, has a lot of time to make the throw.
Well, Drew Storen starting to warm up for the 8th. Nats have had Gene Segura hitless tonight, but he has an RBI ground ball when he beat out a would-be double play ball back in the 5th. In fact, Rendon decided not to throw on a feed from Ian Desmond. That's well hit up the middle. The league leader in hits now has 106. Mid-Atlantic Sports Report back tomorrow from 5 to 6:30. Tom Davis, Dave Johnson, Mel Antonin, Phil Wood. They'll break down Bryce Harper's return and go beyond the beltways for the biggest headlines around baseball. 5 to 6:30 tomorrow on MASN, the Mid-Atlantic Sports Report. Carlos Gomez, 2 strikeouts around a fly ball. He's now 0 for 5 career against Stammen, as LaRoche makes a nice play to get the lead runner over to Ian Desmond. 3-6.
Just no panic at all. Knows that that's not a double play ball as soon as it's hit. No need to rush because he knows that A, the ball's not hit hard, and B, the speed of the runner. So just get the force out, and that's all it's about at this time of the game. Getting outs when you're up by 4.
And that'll bring in Aramis Ramirez. Carlos Gomez has stolen 16 out of 19 this year. Milwaukee's a good running ball club, second most steals in the league, tied with Colorado with 63. The Padres have 69. Segura is second in the league, and Gomez is 6th in steals.
Yeah, that's the one thing that 2-run 5th and 2-run 6th has done for the Brewers, is allowed them to get back to the running game if they want. Down by 4, though, you got to be sure.
There he goes, and a foul ball. This copyrighted broadcast presented by authority of the Washington Nationals Baseball Club and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Washington Nationals. That one's in the left field corner. Gomez can run. Harper's got to get it back in quickly. Takes a while to dig it out. And this is an 8-5 game. Aramis Ramirez, second hit of tonight, and RBI number 25.
Boy, the speed of Gomez, as soon as that ball got past Ryan Zimmerman, you knew that was a run. Good hustle by Gomez. Nice swing by Ramirez. Elevated pitch right there from Stanton, and watch Gomez run. And give the Brewers a lot of credit after that 14-inning loss to Pittsburgh yesterday. Getting in late, or fighting here tonight in D.C.
And here comes Davey. He likes the matchup of Storen versus Lucroy. It'll be a runner at second, 2 outs here in the 7th. Brought to you by Navy Federal Credit Union. 4 million members, 4 million stories. Navy Federal Credit Union. And by 5 Hour Energy Shots. Beautiful night in our nation's capital. 79 at game time, a little on the muggy side. Ball flying early, and now the Milwaukee Brewers are back to within 3 here with a long way to go. Drew Storen will get the call against Jonathan Lucroy. And Drew, as we mentioned, his confidence skyrocketing. Scoreless relief 15 of his last 16 times out with a 1.98 ERA.
Yeah, fastball's been good, slider's been good, changeup's been great. So all of a sudden a 3-run ball game. Brewers fighting.
Jonathan Lucroy, 2 for 3 career against Drew Storen. He's 1 for 3 with a single up the middle tonight. Aramis Ramirez just collected his 25th RBI. Lucroy has driven in a team-leading 42. Up and in. Fastball, 2-0. How about the late inning guys? Look at the ERAs, the results.
Last 16 games for Drew, 2 wins, a save, a 1.98 ERA.
And a pop fly underneath it, Anthony Rendon. Drew Storen comes in to get a big out right before the stretch. 7th inning stretch brought to you by Hyundai's Easy Decision event. Visit your Washington area Hyundai dealers today. Do the Nats have enough runs? The bullpen says yes. We shall see. Tom Gorzolani for another inning. Freight Rail Works do-ups here, bottom 7. Adam LaRoche at home, 6 of his 12 home runs. Ian Desmond, home or road, he's doing just fine. Anthony Rendon has really hit the ball well here at home, and he's 1 for 3 tonight. It's our Freight Rail Works do-up, bottom 7.
And that's trying to get that momentum back on offense. And you thought that 8 runs would be enough, and you're hoping that it is. But if you're Davey Johnson, you probably like a couple more runs on that board.
Now Tyler Clippard for the 8th after Drew Storen came in to get a very important out. Tyler told me after the game yesterday it was so unusual to get up and warm up yesterday in New York and then be told take the rest of the day off. Nats got those late runs. He was able to sit down and be fresh for another day. LaRoche to the right side. Ricky Weeks. Adam now 1 for 4 career against his former teammate with 2 ball clubs, Tom Gorzolani. Sunday is another version of the Nats Live free post-game concert series. It's after the 1:35 game against the Padres. Third Day will be here. And some of the Nats are going to get up on the stage and speak during that concert and share some things with you. Game tickets start at $10. Go to nationals.com/NatsLive. Some restrictions apply, and you must have a ticket for July 7th to enjoy Third Day. Ian Desmond, 1 for 3, opposite field, RBI double.
Well, Ian Desmond's done a nice job lately of going the other way. He's had his pull side home runs, but hasn't really fallen in love with pull mode. Had the double to right center tonight. That double down the right field line in New York, so hitting the ball to all fields with authority. You leave something out over soft, he'll catch you to the pull side. But he hasn't been afraid lately to take something on the outer half and drive it the other way.
Yeah, whoever determined that June's a 30-day month robbed him of another RBI.
Who does determine that?
The Ides of somebody way, way long ago.
Mayans, Aztecs?
I'm sure the Mayans lost some of their credibility recently. That's over but low, 3-2.
Yeah, that whole December 21st thing.
Still here.
Credibility lost.
He's going to be punched out on a fastball, borderline inside corner. Mark Carlson with the call. Gorzolani's second strikeout.
Yeah, he'll sit around 90 with that fastball. Then with 2 strikes, saw it all last year. He'll speed you up with 93. Good pitch.
24,889 tonight. Nats are still close to 4,000 per game, above what they did last season. The largest increase in any big league ballpark. Well done, Nats fans. It'll get better as the week goes on. And a breaking ball is in there to Anthony Rendon.
That might be the first swing we've seen from Rendon where he didn't look comfortable, tried to hold up.
Tom Gorzolani dealing here. Double play ball last inning.
We talked about those finger guards on the glove so you don't tip your pitches. How a lot of pitchers, most pitchers right now in baseball, put that guard over their index finger outside their glove. Gorzolani going old school. Doesn't have the finger guard. Pretty much every pitcher now does.
Target in. And Rendon's going to be hacking after he saw the call on Ian Desmond. Rendon, a breaking ball over near the barrier right side.
This guy's saying it hit me, ricocheted. I deserve the ball. I wore that thing. He gave it to the kid, though. Nicely done. Kid's in heaven right now. Look at that look.
Rendon gashes one to center. It is right at Carlos Gomez. Tom Gorzolani faces 6 batters in 2 innings. Tyler Clippard on the way. Bullpen coming up. .22 career starts. Youngster is 5-9 with a 5.58 ERA. He'll have to be very good because Steven Strasburg is that right now. Last 8 starts, ERA 1.47. So Steven will be looking for his 5th win of the year tomorrow night. 6:30 Nats Extra. Johnny and Ray here at the ballpark. And then from the booth at 7, Strasburg and the Brewers. Top of the 8th here. Nats have to get 6 outs in a 3-run game. Tyler Clippard will get the assignment. MLB.com at bat, #1 source for live baseball. iPhone, iPad, Android, BlackBerry 10, delivering Nats action with live audio, pitch tracking, stats, news, and highlights. Text at bat to 31826 or visit Nationals.com.
Tyler Clippard, 35th appearance of the year, 6-1 record out of the bullpen. How about that? 34 strikeouts and just 15 walks. You look at the opponent's average, 165. Fastball, cutter, curveball, change is what their Brewers are going to see from Tyler Clippard right now.
Ricky Weeks' career against Tyler, 1 for 6. Homered last time. That was with 2 outs in the 6th against Jordan Zimmerman.
I wonder if Tyler Clippard and Rafael Soriano thought they would be in a 3-run situation when the Nats were up 8-0.
There's that perfect changeup at 79. Yeah, yesterday thought he was pitching, then he wasn't. Tonight, maybe the opposite. Pitch upstairs and a foul tip. 92 on the Mercedes-Benz pitch track.
Yeah, good pitch right here. Weeks tardy on the 92-mile-an-hour fastball. After that home run to the pull side last time up, they're working Weeks away. And try to say that 3 times at home real fast.
Clippard with an outstanding changeup for the out. First out, top of the 8th.
Just a nice sequence all the way around. Fastball away to that fading changeup on the inner half at 81. Look at the release point. See how that rolled off the finger? Same arm speed as the fastball, same movement as the heater. Just about 10 miles an hour less, maybe more. 10, 12 miles an hour less than the heater. Great pitch by Clippard. That's the Bugs Bunny job right there.
Johnny Helwig, originally scheduled to start on Wednesday, now in the bullpen with Kyle Loesch coming back after he was shut down early yesterday. Ian Desmond grabs that one pitch out off the bat of Juan Francisco. Get the latest Nats news the moment it happens, delivered direct from Masson to your mobile phone. Text Nationals to 29292. Rookie Sean Halton. Single, double, run scored. He's 2 for 3. That's the Brewers' backup catcher, Martin Maldonado.
And 3 hits yesterday for the Brewers, and the rest of the squad went 1 for 41 against the Pirates.
That ball hit hard to left. Harper back. He's waiting for it on the back pedal, and Bryce makes the grab. 1, 2, 3. Great inning for Tyler Clippard to get this bottom 8.
7-5. Well, catcher Wilson Ramos has been out of the lineup since May 15th after re-injuring his left hamstring. He had been rehabbing down in Viera, Florida. Well, tonight marked his very first rehab appearance at Potomac. He played 7 innings, went 0 for 4, threw out a runner at second. And when I contacted him after the game, I said, how do you feel after playing for the first time in almost a month? And he said, I feel very, very good. He said, I'm very thankful for this day. So if all goes well and there's no swelling and his hammy holds up, he will play 9 innings tomorrow at Potomac, then move on to AAA Syracuse, play a few games there. And if Davey Johnson has his way, he'll be making an appearance here on Thursday for that early game on July 4th, which would mean that this lineup could be at full strength by the end of this week. You know, guys, hard to believe, but this would be the first time since mid-April that this entire opening day lineup is pretty much together. End of this week, it could happen. It's about time, don't you think?
That it is. And, you know, Kurt Suzuki, as we mentioned earlier, didn't start opening day. Wilson Ramos did. Anthony Rendon has jumped into the mix since then. What does that commercial say? Good times are waiting. The Nats hope. Right-hander Johnny Hellwig, a rookie. He goes up and in. He's 0-1 with a 27 ERA. One start in getting 5 outs. He gave up 7 runs, 5 earned on 6 hits. Jeff Bianchi will bat 9th on a double switch and play left field for the Brewers, so he'll be leading off in the 9th. Kurt Suzuki and all the Nats seeing this pitcher for the first time.
Yeah, fastball, curveball change from Johnny Hellwig. I'll be up there with Didi Gregorius for the best name in the big leagues. And fastball averages 94 miles an hour. You can see the sidearm, or 3/4, I should say, delivery from Hellwig.
And a fastball running back out over the plate. Kurt straight back with it, 2-2.
98 miles an hour.
Traded to Milwaukee with Gene Segura and another pitcher, Ariel Pena. And there's Chad Tracy waiting in the Zach Greinke deal, July 27th of last year. So it looks like the Brewers got a good arm, and they got a real good shortstop in that deal. And Suzuki on the breaking ball lines it right back to the pitcher on the glove side.
They got a good arm that feels like a shortstop in the deal. The league leading 65th lineup from Kurt Suzuki. I just made that up. I don't know, but it seems like he's lined out more than any Nat. And a nice play by Johnny Hellwig right here on the line drive. Get that glove up, fall into the first base side.
Chad Tracy. 5 pinch hits, couple of home runs this year. And he hits this one hard to right center. It is over the head of Aoki. And Chad Tracy will check in with a pinch hit. That'll be his first double of the year as a starter or as a pinch hitter, and Roger Bernardino will run for him.
Yeah, Captain Gooner got a fastball right down the middle. You see where Lucroy's setting up. Wanted it on the outer half. The ball got a little bit too much plate, and Chad Tracy always ready for the fastball. Doubles to the gap, and now the Shark will pinch run for Chad Tracy. Nice at bat.
Yeah, so the left side of the bench gets used immediately here. They start him young when it becomes a fan of the Shark.
Yeah.
And here's Denard Span. 1 for 3, double, walk, 2 runs scored.
How about that 9th slot tonight for the Nats? A perfect 4 for 4 with 2 doubles. Zimmerman had 3 hits. Tracy jumps in there. He gets a double. perfect night for the last spot in the Nationals order.
Rafael Soriano ready for the ninth. The Brewers will have 9-1-2 up. He's tied for third in the league with 21 saves. Over but low. Denard Span gets the count to 2-1. Big night for Jason Worth, 4 RBIs. Waiting. Way inside and a wild pitch. And Bernardina scoots over to third on the walk to Span.
A 90-foot mistake right there by Hellwig, and that allows Bernardina to third. Span goes to first and sets the stage for Jason Worth. A possible 5 RBI night. Or 6.
It's 1 out, 7. Trying to make it a non-save situation for Soriano. Jason Worth now has 25 RBIs on the season. That bat really warming up. Came into this game 347 over his last 14 ball games. So he's up around 355, 360 now over the last 2 weeks plus. That's low and outside, 2-1.
And Worth looking to elevate something here from Hellwig. Just wants to get something up in the zone to drive out to the outfield. Hellwig doing a nice job early in this at bat, keeping the ball down, but he finds himself behind 2-1. Yeah, good pitch, 97 down and in. You don't want to offer at that even if you're up 2-1. It's a ground ball waiting to happen. Now you got to fight with 2 strikes.
Kinetic North America tracking strike 2. Runner going. Bouncer, shortstop. It'll drive in a run. Everybody's going to be safe. And it is a 5 RBI night for Jason Worth. No matter how they score it.
That's going to be interesting to see how they do score it. Probably an E6, but got the job done. Scored the shark from third base. And a 5 RBI night for Jason Worth. Segura's been struggling defensively lately. Had some miscues in Pittsburgh, and they do score that error, E6.
So Jason Worth now, 26 RBIs with 5 tonight. A rare 2-error night on Gene Segura. And now it looks like the Nats might be handing the ball to somebody else in the bullpen. That'd be Fernando Abad for the 9th now. He had warmed earlier. No longer a safe situation. We'll see how Davey plays it. As Rick Krenitz, the Brewers pitching coach, heads to the mound.
Well, this works in Davey Johnson's favor big time as he gets Abad loose down the bullpen. Little meeting at the mound for the Brewers. Now you can shut down your closer in a non-save situation, but we've seen Davey bring in Soriano in a 4-run lead scenario, so I think it may take another base hit by the Nationals to get Abad in this game.
Yeah, because he hasn't sat down yet. Here's our Kia drive of the game.
Duh, what else would it be? Bryce Harper, first inning, second pitch he saw off the disabled list, bombed to left center field in the Brewers bullpen. And this place was electrified. Curtain call.
Harper right side. He'll have to hustle. He'll beat it out. And the inning stays alive. By the way, go to Kia.com. Learn why Kia is one of the fastest growing car brands in America. So a 4-6 fielder's choice moves Span over to third on the second out. Ryan Zimmerman, 1 for 3, walk, RBI single. He has stolen a base, his 4th of the year, and scored a run.
The big add-on run right there for the Nationals, taking that 3-run lead to a 4-run lead. And as I look, Soriano's still throwing down there. I think 4-run of Soriano and 5-run of Abad.
Chopper, left side. Ramos Ramirez has to play it with a bare hand, and the Nats do make it 10-5.
A sloppy defense by the Brewers here in the 8th. Segura with a routine ground ball that he can't handle. And for some reason, Ramirez thought he had to go bare hand on this Zimmerman chopper. I think he might have had more time, and I don't know if the knee affected him bending over for this ball or not. But he tried to make a bare hand play, when I think if he used the glove, he still had a chance to get Zimmerman. Nats will take the gift run to make it 10-5. Couple of gift runs in this inning.
So they give Zimmerman a hit. It's good for him. That's an RBI as well.
And he'll take the hit, but I think that Ramirez played it into one.
Adam LaRoche off to the left side. Second base, Harper. First base, Zimmerman.
"23 runs, 17 extra base hits in the last 2 games for the Nationals." I don't know what's more impressive, the 23 runs or the 17 extra base hits. Well, both those guys are liking what they're seeing.
Nats scored 19 runs in 2 games in Colorado last year. Bryce Harper, third base, but the strikeout. So the Nats pick up a couple of unearned runs and give themselves a wide margin now with 3 outs to go. Tonight, 10-13-0. You do the math, and it's looking pretty good for the offense suddenly. And you got Steven Strasburg going tomorrow night. Roger Bernardina in left field for defense here in the ninth. Bryce Harper will get the rest of the evening off, well deserved.
Suddenly the Nats offense has turned into the Redskins office. Fernando Abad, 17th appearance of the year. 0-2, 1.23 ERA. 16 strikeouts versus just 1 walk. Fantastic ratio. And a 2.28 average against. Fastball, curveball change from Abad.
Well, Steven Strasburg enjoying what he's been watching tonight. Willie Peralta, 5-9 with a 5.58 for the Brew Crew. And Abad taking a little bit off, spinning that one in on Jeff Bianchi. '26-year-old infielder, outfielder, who hit 188 in 33 games in his major league debut year last year after the Brewers picked him up on waivers from the Cubs. Three balls, 1 strike.
Curious pitch call right there in a 5-run lead, going with a 2-1 off-speed pitch on a guy that throws low to mid-90s.
Leadoff walk.
I think that's the first walk of the night for Nationals pitchers.
Here's Norichika Aoki. And some of the Brewers have seen Fernando Abad. He was in the division with Houston. Aoki 1 for 1 against him with a base hit. And a bouncer. Rendon will just ignore the runner going to second. All that matters, outs at this point. And that's the first of 3 needed here in the ninth.
Well, that might have been a play a couple of weeks ago that Anthony Rendon would have tried to get the force out at second. Knows that he's up by 5. Doesn't even look at the runner. And flips it nice and easy to Adam LaRoche. So we saw him try to make this play a couple of weeks ago where he lost his footing with a big lead. But the ball taking him toward first base. Gets the smart out right there. And has a little laugh with his shortstop, Ian Desmond.
Good breaking ball. And a bouncer. Rendon. 2 outs. Nats on the verge of their 42nd win of the year. Trying to send the Brewers to their 6th consecutive loss. And the Nats are 1 out away from winning 8 out of their last 12. It's a good trend. And you've got Steven Strasburg going tomorrow. Good crowd. 24,889 tonight. Out of their seats first inning thanks to Bryce Harper. And lots of offense since. Carlos Gomez 0 for 4, strike 1.
He was trying to hit a 6-run home run right here on this changeup from Fernando Abad.
Throwing strikes now. He's had a good breaking ball here. Backed him out with 93.
Carlos Gomez not getting cheated right here, going down with the fight, letting it loose at the plate. Love to see guys swing like that. Little smile out there to Fernando Abad.
And he goes straight change and misses low and away. 2-2. That'll be a called strike, and that'll be a ball game. And that'll be a Nats win to start off this 7-game homestand.
Well, we talked about it was the best lineup we've seen this year. They did not disappoint. 10 runs on 13 hits to take the first game of the homestand.
And we look forward to seeing that every night for the remainder of the season. Well, maybe not, but it was fun tonight, and the Nats are 2 games over 500.